and welcome. Tonight, Vice President Kashim Shettima visits Mokwa, announces 2 billion naira aid as flood deaths hit 161. A mudslide at a local block-making site in Kaduna leaves at least 11 people dead. A former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, asks military to draw lessons from the Nigerian Civil War to navigate current security complexities. And Mr. Trump warns Mr. Putin will retaliate after Ukraine's major drone strike on Russia.
And on business, the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, APCON, called for merger as 5% of operators meet central bank's recapitalization requirements.
On sports, Super Eagles are battle ready for their next task against Russia on June 6 in an international friendly in Moscow.
Welcome to the News at 10 on Channels Television. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Tonight, we begin with the latest development from the devastating floods that occurred in Mokwa, Niger State. And the President Bola Tinubu has approved the immediate release of 2 billion naira for the reconstruction of the houses affected by the flood that destroyed lives and property and left hundreds of people displaced. Vice President Kashim Shettima disclosed this during a visit to Mokwa in Niger State. The Vice President also said the President authorized the immediate release of 20 trucks of rice to be delivered to the victims.
Residents in Mokwa town, Niger State, are still counting their losses after the devastating flood that left death and destruction in its wake. More than 4 communities have been affected by the disaster, with over 4,500 persons displaced, with 458 households impacted. The State Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs put the death toll at 200 persons, with 186 persons injured. According to the state government, 265 buildings were damaged, while 2 major roads and 5 key bridges were washed away in the incident.
You can see here services are running. The mock screening is ongoing. There's antenatal services, antenatal care services here. There's the other tent is being used, to help educate people on basic hygiene, improve sanitation, water safety, so that people can protect themselves from drinking contaminated water. We also have psychosocial support going on for families that are affected.
The victims are asking for some kind of succor from the state and federal governments.
We need your help, because even me, myself, I had not saved with anything. Even shoe, hijab, nothing.
We lost about 14 people, including him. So the family now, we don't have anybody that we can say this one of my cousins here.
Vice President Kashim Shettima takes an aerial view of the devastation as he visits the community. The Vice President is leading the federal government delegation to assess the situation and commiserate with the people. He comes bearing goodies for the victims. The Deputy Governor gave him details of the devastation.
Presently, we have a 4-collapsed bridge. One is Romeo is here, one is here in Metropolis here, another one is just here that connected the Islam Abubakar College of Agriculture with Mokwa here. Another one is there in Rabat there. The social and economic life of our people have been completely cut off.
The Vice President addressed the people, delivering the message of President Bola Tinubu to the victims, assuring them that the federal government is with them during this trying time.
The President has authorized the immediate release of 2 billion naira to immediately commence the construction of homes destroyed by the disaster. Immediately we get back to Abuja, inshallah, I will authorize the MD of Niger Delta Power Holding Company to make arrangements for a 14 MVA transformer for Mokwa town.
He is led through the rubble of what is left of the community by the deputy governor. He then discloses more gestures for the people.
We are going to rebuild the bridges. The federal government, under the able leadership of President Bola Tinubu, has already directed the Federal Minister of Works to immediately embark on the reconstruction of the four destroyed bridges, which is a lifeline, actually, a major artery road that connects the south with the northern part of Nigeria.
The impact of the flood disaster in Mokwa is still very visible as the people struggle to put their lives together. The Vice President's visit has reignited hope in them, and they look forward to the fulfillment of all the promises made by the federal government. For now, they're counting their losses in terms of human lives and properties. From Mokwa in Niger State, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
While the federal government tries to offer relief to the affected victims of the floods, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is warning on the impact of this year's rainfall and the potential flood across Nigeria. The Deputy Director in charge of relief and rehabilitation at the agency, Mr. Bani Garki, gave this warning at a stakeholders' engagement to strengthen resilience, enhance preparedness and response system in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital.
Referencing the 2025 seasonal climate prediction by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency and the annual flood outlook by the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. This stakeholders engagement, organized by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is making efforts to avert the loss of lives and property during the natural incidences this year. Last year, 10,505 persons were displaced in Taraba State, while 42,284 persons were affected following the 2024 flood. Stakeholders in the state are making moves to record zero flood disaster.
The essence of this gathering is to strengthen our disaster management response and enhance our emergency response. So it is crucial and efficient for the stakeholders to converge together to have a coordination on how to handle disaster and emergency.
There's no disaster that is managed by one agency alone. We need each other's cooperation. We can't handle each other.
Based on the rainfall and floods predictions, NEMA has developed a climate-related risk management implications, preparedness and mitigation action plan. The agency wants communities in flood-prone areas to take steps to avert any disaster.
As part of our flood early warning system, NEMA has identified disaster risk management implications and mitigation strategies for communication to communities at risk during the rainy season. We have also produced vulnerability maps for all communities at risk to serve as tools to guide government at all levels to develop risk reduction measures to avoid disaster losses during the year. Public and private institutions, humanitarian, non-governmental organizations, school children and youth organizations are expected to leverage on these early warning tools to support the efforts of NEMA and other government institutions.
The meeting also discussed strategies for responding to emergencies in the state.
At least 11 people have been killed and 7 others injured in a mudslide at a local block making site in Yadoka village in the Mau district of Kabo local government area of Kaduna state. The victims, mostly children, were working at the site when the heap of sand they were digging gave way, burying them under its weight.
This is Yadoka, an agrarian community in Kubao local government area of Kaduna state. On Monday, the community was thrown into mourning following the death of 11 people, mostly children, following the collapse of a sand pit at a local block-making site.
We are at home at that time. just people starting cry. The people are under the ground. We are just run out and see the people inside. Some are wounded, some have died.
The Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency is in the community to assess the situation and commiserates with the victims.
We are here to pay our condolences to our brothers. We pray that God will comfort the families that lost their loved ones. We also pray for good health for those recovering in the hospital. We are also grateful to Governor Obasanjo, who has mandated us to provide relief materials to victims of the incident. This is a loss to the entire Kaduna State.
Though investigations into the cause of the incident is still ongoing, the emergency agency attributes the incident to a avoidable man-made disaster and calls for caution, especially as the rainy season sets in.
We have a prototype sampling on how to completely avoid this kind of man-induced disaster, because we cannot call this natural disaster because it is not something that just comes like that. So hopefully, and by the grace of God, when we return back to Kaduna, we are going to report His Excellency this night and to make sure that at least this Makota place is being addressed as soon as possible.
Beyond the mudslide, the community is also facing erosion challenges, which state governments are hoping to collaborate with the federal government to address.
Tactical teams of the Department of State Services, the DSS, has, with backup from the Nigerian military, have dislodged about 45 bandits around Kuchi town in Monya local government area of Niger State. The DSS had, with clear precision, followed the trail of the bandits and prevented an invasion on the villages to orchestrate massive attacks planned by Kingpin Dogo Dide and other bandits loyal to him. According to sources, intelligence diligently acquired from the agency's renewed covert efforts reveals that terrorists who were from the Bilbis Forest Maru local government in Zamfara State and some parts of Kaduna State were invited by Mr. Gide to attack villages in the Kuchi area of the state. The Chief of Defense Intelligence, Major General Emmanuel Udandeye, is asking defense advisors and attachés to continue to support the Nigerian armed forces as it strives to quell the activities of the insurgents in Nigeria. Speaking in Abuja, the first and second quarter operational briefing for foreign defense advisors, General Udandeye says the security situation in the country has improved greatly and the military and other security agencies will continue to decimate insurgents and the bandits. The operational brief, which was held behind closed doors, is aimed at updating the defense advisors on the security situation in Nigeria.
More than 30 of those defense advisors and attachés were in attendance. The major message really was that Nigeria is doing well. We have greatly improved the security situation, and that if you look at the indices in the northwest, in the north central, and especially the northeast and south, it has greatly improved. Even the uptick in violence that we experienced in the northeast has been largely tamed and controlled. And so, on the average, we have had an improved security situation. And that's the report that we had for them. And they see it daily. They live here, and they can verify from other sources from the media as well. So that was the situation, and it was well received.
In part two, after the break, Ondo State Election Petition Tribunal declares Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa winner of the governorship election in the state. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima visits Mokwa, announces 2 billion naira aid as flood deaths hit 161. mudslide at a local block-making site in Kaduna leaves at least 11 people dead. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo asks the military to draw lessons from the Nigerian Civil War to navigate current security complexities. And Mr. Trump warned Mr. Putin will retaliate after Ukraine's major drone strike on Russia. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is asking the military to draw lessons from the Nigerian Civil War to navigate the security challenges facing the country. According to him, deliberate study of military history, applying the lessons therein, is very crucial for the military to effectively tackle contemporary and future security challenges. Former President Obasanjo delivered a keynote address at the Army War College Course 9 in the nation's capital, Abuja, where he drew similarities in the deployment of propaganda and disinformation by rebels to change the narrative.
This is the annual symposium of the Nigerian Army War College, a key component of one of the institution's courses on military history.
May please take your seats.
Members of Course 9 of the institution are participating in the exercise, which provides a platform for academic discourse and knowledge sharing on the history of Nigeria's military.
The symposium provides an avenue to academically dissect the strategic, operational, and tactical activities of the Nigerian Civil War for better comprehension of battlefield events and outcomes, to bring out useful lessons that could assist in addressing the contemporary security threats facing the nation.
The theme of the symposium is the role of disinformation in the Nigerian Civil War, and the keynote address was delivered by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. He emphasizes the importance of military history to addressing contemporary security challenges.
Permit me to refer to one of my favorite sayings, that a child that does not learn history will be told history. Therefore, the inclusion of the study of the Nigerian Civil War in the Army War College Nigeria curriculum to enhance the capacities of operational level leaders is appropriate and very apt.
The guest speaker also urged the Nigerian military to draw from the lessons of the Nigeria Civil War, especially with regards to information management.
Disinformation played a significant role in the Nigerian Civil War, exacerbating tensions and influencing public opinion inside and outside the country. The same strategy is currently being employed by the insurgents in Northeast and other violent groups in other parts of Nigeria. We must be deliberate to bring out and apply valuable lessons to our contemporary and future security challenges.
Lessons from the Nigeria Civil War is part of the curriculum of the Army War College, as the college dwells on the role of disinformation in Nigerian Civil War. The participants are expected to deploy the lessons learned from the war and come up with strategies to address contemporary security challenges.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has temporarily relocated to Benue State following the attacks in communities and the killings of innocent citizens. His relocation is coming as women in Apa local government area of Benue State took to the streets to protest the killings by armed men in their town. They filed out major roads in the Wobo headquarters of Apa local government area, expressing anguish over the escalating attacks in the council. The Ondo State Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Akure has upheld the election of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa in November 16, 2024 governorship election. In a unanimous decision, the three-member tribunal panel, chaired by Justice Benson Ogubu, on Wednesday, in a judgment which lasted over 8 hours, declared that Governor Ayedatiwa of the APC got the valid votes to be declared winner. It struck out the petition filed by the People's Democratic Party's candidate, Agbola Ajayi, against the result of the election for lack of merit. Also struck out by the tribunal are the suits filed by the People's Democratic Party, the Social Democratic Party, the African Democratic Congress, Allied People's Movement, as well as the African Alliance against the governor. He also, in an interview after the judgment, expressed delight. He says the mandate given to him by the electorates of Ondo has been confirmed by the tribunal and is asking the opposition parties in the state to join him in the development of Ondo State. The Deputy Governor, Olaide Adelami, and the large crowd of party leaders and loyalists stormed the premises of the High Court in Akure, jubilating over this development. And the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetokun, is asking police officers to redouble their efforts in combating terrorism and insurgency in parts of the northeastern part of Nigeria, armed robbery, kidnapping, banditry, cultism, cybercrime, and other transnational organized crime bedeviling the nation. Speaking in Abuja at a conference with strategic police officers, Mr. Egbetokun says that Nigeria's security landscape remains complex and dynamic, but in the face of the daunting challenges and limited operational resources, the tireless efforts of police officers have been instrumental in preserving the internal security of Nigeria and maintaining public order across geopolitical zones. And the serving overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, Pastor Tunde Bakare, today visited President Bola Tinubu at his residence in Lagos. The visit was revealed in a post by the presidential aide, Bayo Onanuga, who shared a photo of the president with the cleric on his X handle. Speaking with journalists after the closed-door meeting, Pastor Bakare says his conversation with the president focused on national development as well as the future of Nigeria.
Well, it's not about just reservations. It's about how the country will go well. My personal vision is to see a nation that works in my lifetime. And those things I've discussed with Mr. President. They're not hidden things, but I've learned that when you discuss with the person in charge, you leave it with him to do whatsoever he wills with what you have suggested. So I've had a private conversation with Mr. President, and I'm glad that he received me well, and I trust that God will help our nation. What transpired in my discussion with him stays with me and with him. God guiding him and giving him wisdom will help this nation not to slide or go down the drain, but to bounce back so that it can leave a mark that cannot be erased. I like to see a peaceful nation. I like to see Nigerians being their brother's keeper. I like to see good collaboration between the best of the North and the best of the South to steer Nigeria in the right direction. I like to see predictable progress in our nation. We have danced around some subjects for too long a time. It's time to take concrete action to ensure that the mercies of our country do not live in abject poverty.
Some may have described it as a torrent of defection that affected Nigeria's main opposition party. But the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, says the party still remains and the developments will not shape their fortune in the next general election come 2027. The National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Mr. Debo Ologwagba, stated this at a news conference in Abuja. He maintains that the 2027 general election will be a referendum between Nigerians and the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC. The PDP spokesperson also described the 99th National Executive Committee meeting of the party that held last week as a testament that the PDP is united.
So our party is stable, we're united, we're stronger after the neck, coming together as a people. Election 2027 is not going to be about defection. It's going to be a referendum on the failure of the APC, the insecurity in the land, the lack of provision of amenities and basic things for human existence. The fact that every day Nigerians are losing. People are complaining that we're dying by installment. That life is coming into almost to a halt. I re-emphasize again, the election 2027 is not going to be about defection or party. It's about the Nigerian people against APC and its policies that have reduced them into nothing. It have caused them so much pain, and families are being dislocated. People are being killed on a daily basis. Looks like new normal, and we have a president who, in the heat of all of this, carries on as nothing's happened.
The chair of the Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, has been speaking on the role of artificial intelligence in advancing healthcare delivery in Africa. He was speaking at the first edition of the Goalkeepers by the Gates Foundation in Africa. Mr. Gates believes that the deployment of artificial intelligence will only make things better on the long run.
Earlier about how AI is coming along, AI which is improving at the global level, and AI which is being shaped specifically by entrepreneurs in Africa to meet African needs. And so if you take the combination of, Africa will be getting richer as the years go on. There'll be more philanthropists. The rich countries will restore some of their generosity. And on top of that, the sharing of best practices and the innovation. We have some incredible tools coming along, even for things like sickle cell disease that, we need to get rid of that. It's a, dramatic burden. So when you combine the innovation and the growth that we'll see, global excitement and amazing work being done here in Africa. Yes, if you look at this 20-year time frame, we can achieve even more than we did in the last 25 years.
Speaking at the same event, the governor of Gombe State, Inuwa Yahya, highlighted some of the challenges faced in the developing of the health sector in the state.
The location of Gombe State and the nature of the terrain, we face challenges, especially with the basic infrastructure. It's the roads, water supply, electricity, and also facilities that are needed in order to manage successfully the primary health care centers. Two, the attitude of workers, especially those located in the rural areas. There's a lot of truancy, and because of absenteeism, and sometimes to the extent that some of them are even ghost workers, and eventually they may generate to become ghost pensioners. So extra efforts need to be made in order to keep them on track. And for that, we had to be ingenious to start using biometric machines to take attendance and monitor the performance of our health workers in their various locations. So there is also issue of finance, funding, because the challenges of today are normally tied around finance. The budgetary allocation to the health sector was only about 3.5% at the inception of my government, but I now added upscale to around averagely between 2020 until now to around 8.5%. So we're trying to reach the national average, and those are really helping us in catching up and making the situation better.
And in maintaining the need to develop the health sector, the president of the Dangote Group, Mr. Aliko Dangote, has spoken how the partnership with the Gates Foundation has helped in ending the polio scourge in Nigeria.
Through our own partnership with Bill, we've actually, end polio. The polio. And then also we have participated and also did quite a lot in nutrition. So that's, on partnership. But in terms of business, it's true. We have done quite a lot by reversing a lot of things, Nigeria used to be the second largest importer of cement in the world. Mm-hmm. And now we have reversed it. Nigeria now exports cement more than any other African country. We've looked at also challenge in terms of fertilizer, where our farmers were suffering no fertilizer. We built from the zero level to the second largest plant of fertilizer in the world. So Nigeria now, not only we export, we actually export 37% of our fertilizer to the United States of America.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria call for merger as 5% of operators meet central bank's recapitalization requirements. And that's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. We continue the news at 10 now to head over to Abuja Studios, where Terry Kumi is standing by. Over to you, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. Now, the indigenous people of the Federal Capital Territory are opposing the relocation policy of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. They made their position known at a hearing with the House of Representatives Committee on Area Councils and Ancillary Matters. The FCT indigenes described the policy as a violation of their fundamental human rights. The House of Representatives Committee on Area Councils and Ancillary Matters commences a hearing into the resolution of the House on a motion to explore alternative approaches to resettling or integrating both indigenous and non-indigenous residents in the FCT. The hearing is declared open by the representative of the Speaker.
You have been invited here as part of our legislative process to enable you to express your views and make contribution during interactive section. Your views and contribution will guide this House in taking the necessary legislative steps to give every Nigerian, especially in the indigenous people, a sense of belonging in the nation.
The committee chairman then sets the tone for what the House considers to be an intervention for all indigents affected by developmental projects.
The House of Representatives has mandated our committee to collaborate closely with the honorable ministers of the FCT and other relevant stakeholders in providing comprehensive, sustainable, and human-centered alternatives for the resettlement and integration of both indigenous and non-indigenous residents of the FCT.
Representatives of the indigenous people of the FCT are opposed to the resettlement policy of the FCTA.
Infrastructure should be provided, and those who will be affected by the infrastructures development should be resettled within their domain, means in our ancestral homes.
We have really sacrificed our own land for the building of this nation. But at the end, we the indigenous people are having negative consequences.
A request for extension of time by the FCDA is granted by the committee.
With regard to our memorandum, in fact, we are not yet ready. What really happened is a committee was set up, both FCTA and FCDA, to come up with a memorandum. That's why I came to apologize on behalf of the stakeholders department
so that we'll be given a time so that we'll come and do the presentation and also to submit our memorandum.
While the FCT indigenes continue to reject the relocation policy of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, which focuses on resettling and compensating original inhabitants of areas affected by developmental projects, the House believes that the issue must be settled once and for all in a way that appeals largely to all parties involved. Well, that's all from the nation's capital. The rest of the news continues from Lagos with Anne.
Thank you, Terry. As part of its corporate social responsibility initiatives, MTN Nigeria has officially kicked off its 2025 21 Days of Y'ello Care initiative. This annual employee volunteer program, running from June the 1st to June the 21st, is all about boosting digital connectivity and educational empowerment in underserved communities nationwide. At the launch in Lagos, MTN's management emphasized the program's core mission to bridge societal gaps, empower local communities, and drive sustainable development through cutting-edge digital solutions.
For the 18th year running, MTN Nigeria is rolling out its annual 21 Days of Y'ello Care campaign, offering another opportunity for its employees to give back to society. Each year, this initiative is carefully designed to tackle Nigeria's most urgent societal needs. For 2025, the focus is clear: connecting communities through the transformative power of digital tools.
The world is transforming so fast, and the skills that we need is transforming so fast, that one of the most impactful ways we can help our communities is to actually do things that give them skills that are relevant in the world today. And I tell you, if we just light up 10, 20, 30 children's minds, out of there will come these people that graduate and become #1 experts in robotics. There's a Nigerian somewhere there, sparking that interest, creating that first opening and avenue to digital skills is incredibly powerful.
As part of the initiative, MTN employees across departments will design and execute grassroots projects, from enhancing internet infrastructure to providing digital skills training, all aimed at bridging the digital divide.
As we think of coverage, we should also take into consideration affordability of the devices and getting it into the hands of our people. So for those who are donating devices, thank you very much. I think it's great.
The executive director of MTN Foundation explains how the annual Y'ello Care program aligns with MTN's broader vision of bridging the digital divide in Nigeria.
It's about pushing and actualizing what we believe in, that with technology, with science, engineering, we can scale as a nation. Recently, MTN, through the foundation, launched the Digital Skills for Digital Jobs Academy, amazing platform. It's been paid for by MTN, and once you check our website, you will see it. Nigerians can also learn free. So these are some of the things that we do to just bring home our belief that really everyone deserves the benefits of a modern, connected life.
Through the sustained commitment, MTN is not just reaffirming its belief in the transformative power of technology, it's highlighting the vital role of its employees as agents of positive change across Nigeria.
Let's now join Will Ebong for stories from the world of business.
Thank you, Anne. Now, thousands of bureau de change operators could lose their licenses following the expiration of the Central Bank of Nigeria's recapitalization deadline. Speaking on Business Morning, we see the APCON President Aminu Gwadabe urging the CBN to consider a deadline extension and support mergers among BDCs, as less than 10% of members have met the new capital requirements.
As of yesterday, till about 11, 12 a.m., we are still discussing what is the best way forward. So we are not totally losing hope. We believe maybe before the end of today, the CBN may make an official pronouncement, so that, you see, there is no reason to create tension, because this is what will have happened, the unintended consequences. you create tension, you create disruptions in the market. Yesterday, we've seen some positive development in the parallel market. The dollar even getting lower than about 1.6 to Naira. However, this morning we are hearing the whole story have changed. The rates, the Naira is depreciating. So these are some of the unfortunate likely tendencies that will impact the market negatively.
Now, Ondo PLC has announced a strong full-year performance for 2024, posting a 44% revenue growth to 4.1 trillion naira from 2.9 trillion naira in 2023. Profit after tax also jumped 267% to 222 billion naira, driven by improved performance in its exploration and production segment and FX gains. Also, earnings per share increased to 18 naira per share compared to 5 naira per share in the prior year. Crude oil production rose 22% to 7,558 barrels per day, with average daily outputs climbing to 23,727 barrels of oil equivalent per day. In January 2025, Ondo approved the phased share distribution of 1.28 billion ordinary shares, split into 2 equal tranches for shareholders. Group CEO Wale Tinubu describes 2024 as a defining year with a NAOC deal, doubling Ondo's upstream stake and proven reserves. He said 2025 will be a year of execution, focusing on ramping up production, enhancing security, optimizing costs, and expanding clean energy projects. Ondo continues to push its clean energy agenda with its electric mass transit program, displacing over 163,000 kilograms of carbon dioxide and saving more than 60,000 liters of diesel by the end of 2024. Looking ahead, Ondo targets an average production of 30,000 to 40,000 barrels per day in 2025, backed by contribution from its NAOC acquisition. Also, in the company's bid to ramp up oil production to 100,000 barrels per day and 1.5 trillion cubic feet of gas by 2029, Ondo says it is planning a balanced capital program, including rigless well interventions, drilling of 3 new development wells, and 9 workovers across key assets. And from there, we head to the local stock market, which continues to stun investors as it locks in a 3-day winning streak. John Mokwa tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, Nigeria's stock market is on a roll. Today again, 224 billion naira has been added to the market cap. And so we have 71 trillion naira, well, over 71 trillion naira. This is a new level for the market. Investors seem to be building a lot of confidence or having a lot of confidence in the market. And the all share index is still around 112,000 after the all share went 0.32%. Now, those who drove this today are the gainers. Ondo has been on the downside for some sessions now, but today it opened at 47 naira and closed at 51 naira 70 kobo, leading the gainers for today. We also have U Home Red also contributing to that. Royal X also contribute to that. Of course, there will be some people who have lost some money. That's the losers for today. NCR, ABC Transport, as well as Marriott paid. But on the roll at the end of the trade today, the bull is still the winner in the markets.
Thank you, Ini. Now let's see the closing numbers for other major equities around the world. And that's business news. It's back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. About 1.6 million pilgrims performing this year's Hajj have arrived at Mina after journeying 5 miles from Mecca as the 2025 Hajj begins. Mina is the first stop for pilgrims undertaking Hajj, where they will spend time in prayer, supplication, reflection, and preparation for the day of Arafat, slated for Thursday, the 9th day of Aduk Hijjah. Well, the large tent city provides a space for pilgrims to rest, reflect, and prepare mentally and spiritually for the pilgrimages at dawn. They will depart from there to the plain of Arafat, which is a crucial part of this pilgrimage. Outside our shores, U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that Mr. Vladimir Putin, that's Russian president, will have to respond to Ukraine's major drone attack on Russian air bases. Mr. Trump warns the social media post on his phone call, which lasted more than an hour, will not lead to immediate peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The president of the International Committee of the Red Cross says Gaza has become worse than hell on earth. It comes as aid distribution centres in Gaza are closed as Israel's military warns roads leading to the sites will be considered combat zones. At least 27 Palestinians were killed by Israeli fire close to an aid point on Tuesday. That's according to Hamas-backed local officials. The third deadly incident this week near a site run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The IDF said its troops fired shots after identifying what it described as suspects who moved towards them, deviating from the designated access routes.
I've been to Gaza myself 4 times since October 7th, and then Israel actually denied me entry earlier this year with no reason given. And when you speak to Inada's team members, when you speak to anyone actually on the ground in Gaza, you know, for them, it's eclipsed hell on earth. This is an entirely new realm of such complete and utter, deliberately caused human suffering that it's extraordinarily difficult, even for those who are living through it, to actually wrap their minds around it and understand how it is that even they themselves are getting through every single day.
US President Donald Trump has signed an order doubling tariffs on steel and aluminium imports from 25% to 50%. The move hikes import taxes on the metals, which are used in everything from cars to canned food, for the second time since March. Mr. Trump has said the measures, which came into effect today, are intended to secure the future of the American steel industry. Elon Musk has hit out at President Trump's signature tax and spending bill, describing it as a disgusting abomination. On his platform X, he said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it." The budget, which includes multi-trillion-dollar tax breaks and more defense spending, while also allowing the US government to borrow more money, was passed by the House of Representatives last month. Searches for Madeleine McCann have resumed in Portugal 18 years after she disappeared from an apartment complex in Praia de Luz in the Algarve. Portuguese and German authorities are expected to continue to focus the search on disused buildings and wells. Madeleine was 3 when she vanished while on holiday with her parents on the 3rd of May 2007, sparking a Europe-wide police investigation that has become one of the highest-profile missing person cases. The German city of Cologne is evacuating some 20,500 people from a large area in the city centre, so experts can defuse 3 unexploded bombs from World War II. The American bombs were discovered on Monday in a shipyard in the Dukes neighbourhood. Unexploded bombs can still pose a danger, and the city has been sealed off within a 1,000-metre zone radius in what is described as the largest operation since the end of World War II. Homes, shops, hotels and schools have been forced to evacuate, as well as large hospitals and a major train station. A top official in one of South Africa's biggest political parties has been sacked after he visited a controversial Malawian pastor in April. Floyd Shivambu has been removed as Secretary-General of the party barely 6 months into the job after he attended an Easter service at self-proclaimed pastor Shebard Bushiri's church. Mr. Bushiri from Malawi was one of South Africa's best-known preachers when he was arrested and charged with fraud in South Africa in 2020. And meet Mogoli, who walks the streets of a city in southern Nepal. This celebrity rhino attracts visitors from all around the world. Conservationists rescued him from a flat 8 years ago, and he was taken back to a national park, but keeps coming back to the city. Locals, though, are unhappy with the animal eating crops and plants and posing a danger to people in the area. They're also worried that more rhinos are copying Mogoli and could pose a danger to their way of life.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Nigeria Super Eagles have secured their second training session earlier today at the Mosvich Stadium as they prepare to face Russia in an international friendly this Friday, June 6th. In the wake of their suspension from UEFA competitions in April 2023, Russia has turned to international friendlies to maintain their global football presence. Super Eagles arrived in Moscow with confidence, having secured the Unity Cup. The match kicks off at 8 p.m. Nigerian time in Moscow. In India, local state chief minister has confirmed that packed crowds celebrating their cricket team's victory ended in a deadly stampede with 11 mainly young fans crushed to death. The minister says the stadium has a capacity of only 35,000 people, but 200,000 to 300,000 people came for the celebrations. But the euphoria of the vast crowds in the southern tech city of Bangalore ended in disaster, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi calling it, quote, absolutely heart-rending. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of India. That's sports. I'm Kelly. Egiga is back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. Vice President Kashim Shettima has visited Mokwa. The Vice President announced a 2 billion naira aid as floods death hit 161. A mudslide at a local block-making site in Kaduna has left at least 11 people dead. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Have a good night rest and stay safe.